Okay, so let's look at what we got here. So let's look first at quotation. That was the first part of the test, right? So here, logical structures. So the way to do a quotation, right, is to first textualize it, right? So show that you have a command of the text. Where does this quote, take place in the text? Um, what's going on at this point in the text, right? And then the second thing is how does this quote connect to other parts of the text, right? So you want to show how the text is, or the quote is organic to the text and is not just a fly-by-night part of the text, that it's symbolic or iconic or emblematic of greater issues in the text. So that's textualization and intertextualization. And then how can the quote be used? What is the quote looking at? Okay, what's the problem? The quote can be used to probably explore a number of problems. You want to be clear on how you are interpreting the quote. I am using this quote to look at this problem that the text looks at. Okay, so be specific with that. And then you want to give a close reading analysis. Okay, and this is probably the biggest um, gap in the exam, right? That people were not spending time analyzing the quote. And what I mean by analyzing the quote on a close reading level is, sentence by sentence, word by word, first part of the quote, second part of the quote, third part of the quote, right? That you should really try to be, tearing down that quote, deconstructing it, right? Making sure that the reader, understands it and that you show your command of it. And you show your command of the quote in a very specific local way, not a generalized way, right? So a lot of the quote analysis sort of came off as term papery, cliff note like, very general, okay? So when you have a quote analysis, right, you got to make sure that you are, delivering the goods on it, right? Hey, I read this text in this class, and these are the things that we were talking about, and you want to sort of pull that out from the quote. And then dialecticize means to try to, show how the quote is, it's part of a problem and how the problem is part of a larger debate. Okay, so that's the ideal uh, idea of quote analysis, right? If we move to titles, okay, here we can see that titles have a couple beats, right? Basically, I would say three beats and then a style idea.